I can't believe what I'm seeing. This changes everything. What do I do now?
I thought moving into my best friend's apartment would be a fresh start, but one call from my daughter in the middle of the night turned everything upside down. What I heard made my blood run cold. Hello, dear listeners. Thank you for joining me today. Before I begin my story, I would be very happy if you subscribed to the channel and left a comment writing which state or country you're listening from. It always warms my heart to see how far our stories travel.
I never expected my life to change so suddenly. My best friend Emily had been like a sister to me for years.
I never expected my life to change so suddenly. My best friend, Emily, had been like a sister to me for years. We had shared everything: laughter, tears, secrets. But when she called me one afternoon, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and nervousness, I could hardly believe what she said. "Hina," she said, "I want you to have my apartment. I won't be needing it anymore." I was stunned. Her apartment? In a quiet, safe neighborhood, close to the schools, parks, and the little coffee shop we loved? It felt surreal. My heart swelled with gratitude, yet a small knot of unease formed in my stomach. "Are you sure, Em? I can't accept something this big," I replied, my voice shaking slightly. "I'm sure," she said firmly. "You deserve this more than anyone. Promise me you'll take care of it." And just like that, my life was about to take a turn I could never have anticipated. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Packing my belongings, saying my quiet goodbyes to the little apartment my daughter and I had lived in for years. It was all surreal. The thought of moving into Emily's apartment was exciting, but an inexplicable tension lingered in the back of my mind. I remember telling my daughter, Lily, about the move. She was ecstatic, imagining the big rooms, the balcony overlooking the street, and the idea of a new adventure. "Mom, will there be a park nearby? And can I decorate my new room?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Of course, sweetheart," I said, forcing a smile. "It'll be wonderful." But as the moving day approached, I couldn't shake a growing feeling that something unexpected was waiting for us. The first night in Emily's apartment was quiet, too quiet. The rooms were immaculate, untouched by time, but the silence seemed to echo. Lily was asleep in her new room, her soft breathing filling the night. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the small, sleek baby monitor we had set up, a faint green light blinking. It was supposed to give me comfort, but instead, it made the apartment feel eerily still. I told myself it was just the unfamiliarity of the place. And then my phone rang. It was Lily. "Mom," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Yes, sweetie? Are you okay?" I asked, slightly panicked. "We're all ready." "Something's wrong," she said, her words trailing off. My heart raced. I had no idea what she meant. My hands gripped the phone tighter. "Lily, tell me exactly. What's happening?" I demanded, my voice shaking. And then she screamed, a short, piercing scream that made my blood run cold. I rushed to Lily's room, my heart pounding in my chest. Everything seemed normal. The room was as we had set it up, the lights dim but comforting. Yet I could feel a presence, a subtle shift in the air, something that made my skin crawl. I checked the baby monitor, and that's when I heard it, a faint, almost whispering voice coming from the living room. I froze. It wasn't Lily. It wasn't me. It was someone else. "Mom." The word was distorted, chilling. My mind raced. Emily had always been careful, the apartment secure. Who or what could be here? By the time dawn broke, the apartment had revealed a fraction of its secrets. Emily had left more than just furniture and belongings. She had left behind memories, traces of her life that hinted at something unresolved, something that had been hiding in the quiet walls of the apartment. Lily clung to me, tears streaming down her face. I held her close, whispering reassurances I barely felt. I knew then that moving into Emily's apartment wasn't just a new beginning. It was the start of a journey I wasn't prepared for, one filled with mystery, suspense, and a truth that would shake our lives to the core. The morning light spilled softly through the apartment windows, but it did nothing to ease the tension that had settled over us overnight. Lily clung to me, her small hands trembling, eyes wide with fear. I held her close, telling myself I needed to stay calm, for both our sakes. I tried to rationalize everything. Maybe the scream had been a nightmare, or perhaps it was just the echo of an unfamiliar space. Yet, as I walked through the living room, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every shadow seemed to move slightly. Every creak of the floorboards made my heart race. The baby monitor still blinked faintly on the table, a reminder that even technology could not shield us from the unknown. I decided I had to explore the apartment more thoroughly. Perhaps understanding every corner, every locked drawer and cabinet would give me some sense of control. As I began unpacking, I noticed a small envelope tucked behind a stack of books on the shelf. The handwriting was unmistakably Emily's, elegant, careful. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a note, brief but cryptic. If you hear her, do not answer. Trust only Lily. My blood ran cold. Her, I whispered aloud, glancing nervously around the room. My mind raced. Who could Emily have meant? Was this some kind of joke? A warning? I called Lily over, keeping my voice as calm as possible. She looked up at me, sensing the change in my tone. Mom, what is it? I showed her the note, careful not to let my fear show. She read it, her brows furrowed, and whispered, It's her, the one I saw in the mirror last night. Mirror? I followed her gaze. In the corner of the room, the reflection showed an empty hallway, but I could feel eyes staring at us from somewhere beyond the glass. That evening, I decided to confront the shadows. Armed with a flashlight, I walked down the hallway, Lily holding tightly onto my hand. The apartment, once a welcoming space, now felt like a labyrinth of secrets. Each room I entered seemed normal, but the air was heavy, charged with a strange energy. And then I heard it, the softest whisper, almost too faint to register. Mom. I froze. The voice was eerily familiar, like a distorted echo of Lily's. My heart pounded in my chest. Lily clutched my arm and whispered, She's here. Mom, she's real. The baby monitor buzzed suddenly, static filling the room, and a faint image flickered on the screen, a shadow moving across the living room floor. I wanted to call Emily to ask her what the note meant, but my phone had no signal. Panic surged, but I knew I had to stay calm.
Lily needed me.
The next day, I decided to dig deeper into Emily's life. Perhaps understanding her past would explain the strange occurrences. I found old journals, photographs, and letters tucked in drawers she had apparently forgotten to clear. One photograph froze me in my tracks. A young girl, standing in the same hallway, eyes wide, expression frozen in terror. The back of the photo was marked with a date almost 20 years ago, and written faintly, She waits. My mind reeled. Could this apartment have a history? Was Emily aware of it? Or worse, had she been trying to protect us from something? Lily tugged at my sleeve. Her voice shook. Mom, she's in my room again. That night, I resolved to face whatever was haunting the apartment. Armed with only a flashlight and the courage I could muster, I went to Lily's room. The air was colder here, the shadows deeper. Suddenly, the baby monitor flickered, and a faint whisper echoed. Leave now. I froze. My hands tightened around Lily's small fingers.
No.
Not until I know why, I whispered back, my voice steadier than I felt. Then, in the reflection of the window, I saw her, a figure, tall and pale, standing silently behind us. Lily screamed, and my heart leapt into my throat. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. I realized then that this was only the beginning. Whatever Emily had tried to warn us about was far from over, and the apartment held secrets that would change our lives forever. The apartment was quieter than usual that night, yet somehow more oppressive. Lily slept fitfully, tossing and turning, mumbling fragments of words I couldn't understand. I sat on the edge of my bed, gripping the baby monitor like a lifeline. Its faint green light blinked steadily, yet a cold shiver ran down my spine every time I glanced at it. I told myself it was only nerves, the natural fear of a new place. But deep down, I knew better. Something was wrong. Something hidden in the walls of this apartment that Emily had tried to protect us from. Then the whisper came again, almost imperceptible. Mom. I froze. My heart raced. The sound came from the monitor, not the room. My hands trembled as I picked up the device. Lily, I whispered. I'm scared, she replied softly. The calm, nurturing tone I usually used with her faltered. I realized that this apartment held a presence, one that was waiting for us, watching us, testing our courage. By morning, I resolved to search the apartment systematically. Something about the note Emily had left. If you hear her, do not answer. Trust only Lily, kept echoing in my mind. It was a warning I didn't fully understand, but I knew I couldn't ignore it. In the living room, I noticed a faint outline along the wall, almost like a seam in the paint. My pulse quickened as I ran my hand along it. It was a door, hidden, small, and narrow. Lily gasped. Mom, that's where I saw her. I hesitated, then slowly opened it. A narrow staircase led down into darkness. Dust hung in the air like a shroud, and a faint metallic smell tickled my nose. I switched on the flashlight and descended carefully, holding Lily close. At the bottom, the room was small, bare, yet unmistakably someone had been here. Old toys, a tiny chair, drawings on the walls faded with age. And in the corner, a small, cracked mirror reflected our faces. Lily clutched my arm. She's behind you, she whispered. I spun around, flashlight cutting through the darkness. Nothing. Yet the air felt heavy, as though something invisible had passed. Among the faded drawings, I found a small journal, leather-bound and delicate. Opening it, I discovered it belonged to a girl named Clara. Her handwriting was small and precise, yet frantic at times. They won't let me leave. They watch through the walls. Mom, help me. My heart sank. Could Emily have known about Clara? Had she lived here decades ago? The parallels were chilling. Clara's words mirrored the whispers we had heard, the shadows we had seen. Lily peeked over my shoulder, eyes wide. Mom, is she still here? I swallowed hard. I think so, baby. But we'll be brave. We have to be. The journal also contained drawings of the apartment, marking secret corners, hidden rooms, and escape routes. It was as if Clara had left a map for anyone who dared enter the apartment after her. That night, the whispering grew louder, more insistent. I could hear it even without the monitor. Leave now or suffer. Lily trembled beside me. I held her close, whispering reassurances. I barely believed myself. Then, in the reflection of the living room mirror, I saw her, a figure, tall and pale, staring silently. Her eyes were hollow, black voids that seemed to pierce my very soul. I wanted to scream, to run, but I forced myself to stay. I remembered Clara's journal. Fear is what they feed on. Stand firm, and they will retreat. I squared my shoulders, looking directly at the figure. We are not leaving. Not until we understand you. For a moment, the figure didn't move. And then, almost imperceptibly, it nodded. The figure vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving only a lingering coldness. I realized then that Clara's spirit, or whatever haunted the apartment, wasn't inherently evil. It was trapped, afraid, misunderstood. I held Lily close and whispered a promise. I will protect you. We will face this together. At that moment, I understood Emily's warning. The apartment wasn't just a home. It was a guardian of secrets, a vessel of stories long forgotten. And we had to navigate its mysteries carefully. The night ended with a strange calm, but I knew this was only the beginning. Part of me feared what the coming days would reveal, yet another part felt empowered. I had the knowledge, the courage, and most importantly, my daughter by my side. The apartment was no longer just a space to live. It had become a test of resilience, bravery, and the bond between mother and daughter. The morning after the first true encounter, the apartment seemed quieter, but the air was heavy with tension. Lily didn't want to leave my side, and I could barely relax myself. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a warning, every shadow a silent observer. I pored over Clara's journal again, noticing a series of symbols I had missed before. They seemed to mark specific rooms in the apartment, places that Clara had either feared or sought refuge in. My heart sank as I realized the apartment itself was alive with the memories of its past, almost as if it were guiding us through a maze of warnings. Lily tugged at my sleeve. "Mom," the whispering. "It's louder today." I nodded, gripping her hand tightly. "We're going to be brave, baby. We'll face whatever comes." It was a promise I intended to keep, no matter the cost. Exploring further, I found a door in the hallway that had always been locked. It was small, nondescript, almost invisible against the wall. My pulse quickened. Could this be the heart of the mystery? I found an old key taped behind a picture frame. Probably Emily had left it for me. My hands shook as I inserted it into the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Dust and cobwebs filled the air, and a faint cold breeze whispered past me. Lily clung to my arm. "Mom, I don't want to go." I knelt down, looking into her fearful eyes. "I know it's scary, sweetie, but we have to find the truth. Together." We descended, step by step, the flashlight cutting through the darkness. At the bottom, we found a small room, empty except for a single rocking chair. The chair moved slightly, as if nudged by an unseen hand. A chill ran through me. This room had been the epicenter of Clara's fear, I realized. And now, it was ours to confront. Among scattered papers and old photographs, I found something that made my breath catch. A photograph of Emily as a child, standing in the same hallway, her eyes wide, expression fearful. Behind her, barely visible, was Clara, or rather, her spirit, pale and watching. I read the accompanying note. "She protects the apartment, but she's trapped. Only those who understand can calm her." The truth hit me like a tidal wave. The apartment wasn't haunted by evil. It was haunted by someone who had suffered and was unable to move on. Emily had known, and her warning had been to protect us from fear, not the presence itself. I felt a strange empathy for Clara, the spirit who had been lonely, scared, and misunderstood for decades. Lily whispered, "Mom, I think she wants us to help her." I nodded, tears welling up. "Yes, baby, we're going to help her." That night, I spoke aloud, holding Lily close. "Clara, we understand. We're not afraid. Please show us what you need." The room grew colder. The rocking chair moved violently, then slowly came to a stop. Shadows danced across the walls, forming shapes that looked like the faint outline of a little girl. She reached out, a silent plea in her gaze. Lily stepped forward bravely, extending her hand. "It's okay. We're friends." The figure hesitated, then slowly approached. The air seemed to shift, the oppressive heaviness lifting slightly. I realized that Clara had been waiting for someone to acknowledge her pain, to offer compassion instead of fear. I whispered a promise. "We'll remember you. You won't be alone anymore." And then, as if in response, the room brightened slightly. A gentle warmth replaced the chill. Clara's outline shimmered, a faint smile appearing before she faded into the walls, finally at peace. The apartment felt different the next morning. Not empty, not abandoned, but lighter, filled with a sense of calm. Lily ran through the rooms, her laughter echoing freely. I watched her, my heart full of relief and wonder. Emily's gift had turned into more than just a home. It had been a test of courage, love, and compassion. We had faced fear, unraveled mysteries, and, most importantly, honored the spirit of someone who had been trapped in silence for decades. I held Lily close, whispering to her, "We are brave, baby. Together, we can face anything." The apartment was ours now, not just a space to live, but a symbol of strength, empathy, and the enduring bond between mother and daughter. The sunlight streamed gently through the windows of Emily's apartment, painting the walls in warm hues. For the first time in days, I felt a sense of peace settle over us. Lily ran across the living room, giggling, her energy unburdened by fear. I watched her, feeling a mixture of relief and gratitude. The events of the past days played over and over in my mind. From the first shocking call in the middle of the night to the encounter with Clara's spirit, everything had seemed surreal. Yet, it had been real. Every whisper, every shadow, every chilling moment. I took a deep breath, realizing something profound. Fear had tested us, but love, courage, and understanding had guided us through. I turned to Lily, who was picking up a small drawing Clara had left behind. "Mom, look, she drew me," she exclaimed. I smiled, tears welling up. Yes, baby. Clara wanted someone to care, and we did. Curiosity and a newfound sense of bravery drove me to explore the apartment more thoroughly. There were still small items Emily had left behind, letters, photos, keepsakes that told the story of her life. Each object seemed ordinary, yet carried emotional weight, like echoes of a life fully lived and carefully protected. I found a box of Clara's old belongings in a corner, a diary, tiny toys, and sketches of the apartment. Her words resonated deeply. I hope someone understands me. Someone who can see beyond fear. I realized that Emily had inherited not just an apartment, but a legacy of compassion and care. By moving in, Lily and I had become part of this chain, entrusted to face the fears of the past while creating a safe space for the present. It dawned on me that the apartment wasn't just haunted. It was a living story, a record of lives intertwined across generations. And now we were the ones to honor it. I sat down with Lily that afternoon, holding her hands in mine. "You know, baby," I said softly, "fear is not always what it seems. Sometimes it's a message. Sometimes it's someone asking for help." Lily nodded, her eyes wide. "I understand, Mom." We helped her. I hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her small body against mine. We had faced the unknown together and emerged stronger. In a way, the apartment had tested our bond, proving that the courage of a mother and child could overcome even the darkest of mysteries. I wrote in my own journal that evening, documenting every moment so that one day someone else might understand, just as we had understood Clara. Days turned into weeks, and life began to feel normal again. The apartment, once a place of shadows and whispers, had become a home filled with laughter, love, and memories. Lily decorated her room with care, placing Clara's drawings on the walls as a reminder of what we had learned. Emily visited us one afternoon, smiling warmly. "You two have done wonderfully," she said. "I always knew you could handle it." I realized that the gift Emily had left was far greater than a physical space. It was a test of empathy, courage, and love. And in passing it to me, she had trusted that I would continue the story, not just as a tenant, but as a protector of memories, a guardian of the apartment's soul. One evening, I stood by the window, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Lily sat beside me, clutching her favorite stuffed animal. The apartment was quiet, peaceful, and yet I could sense the echoes of the past lingering softly, like a gentle whisper in the air. I whispered to her, as much for myself as for her. "We will always remember Clara. We will always honor her story. And we will face every challenge together, no matter how scary it seems." Lily smiled, leaning against me. The apartment had transformed from a place of fear into a sanctuary, a home where courage, love, and compassion had triumphed. And in that moment, I understood the true meaning of Emily's gift. It wasn't just an apartment. It was a lesson, a story, and a promise. A promise that we would always choose empathy over fear, love over hesitation, and courage over doubt. As night fell, the apartment was filled with peace. Clara's presence was gone, finally at rest. And for the first time, I knew we were truly home.